Hey, we are so excited. Our Music That Matters Now series is back every Friday around this time. And we are so happy to have Katie Tunstall join us this morning. This is so cool, coinciding with a virtual concert live from the Lobero tomorrow. We've both been big fans, and thanks for being with us, Katie. Hi.
Nice to be with you guys.
Oh, hey, where are you calling in from?
So I am calling from sweltering Los Angeles.
Are you in Venice?
I used to be.
Oh,
So
I see.
when I first moved over, I fell in love with Venice Beach and moved to that boho life, and then decided that I was going to escape to the hills. So I'm now actually in Topanga Canyon, which is amazing. I mean, the history of music in the canyons in LA is just incredible.
You know, we're located right here in downtown Santa Barbara. And as I'm looking out of the window, right down the street at the Marjorie Luke Theater, that was the last time I saw you. You were performing there.
Oh!
And God, you're absolutely fantastic. So it's nice you're coming back. A little long delay, but you're coming back. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love Santa Barbara. It always feels like a holiday. It feels like a busman's holiday whenever you do a gig in Santa Barbara. You're just like, oh yeah, there's a show, but we're in Santa Barbara.
You have I love your accent. Of course,
It's
you
great.
are Scottish.
Oh, thank you.
But
Yeah, so I was born in Edinburgh.
Uh-huh.
And here's a little tip to Americans out there. If you want to impress a Scottish person,
yes,
you say Edinburgh, not Edinburgh. American people say Edinburgh. If you say Edinburgh, they'll be, oh, you say it properly.
we'll try to remember that. Hey, Katie, when did you first, early in childhood, turn to music?
So my mom said that she noticed that I was screaming louder than other children by about 6 months. So I think I definitely had a set of lungs by that point. But it was funny because my parents weren't big music fans, so they didn't really listen to music. And for me, it was much more about playing instruments. So I started playing piano when I was around 4. And then I didn't actually pick up the guitar and start writing songs till I was about 15. So it was kind of more about learning how to play instruments through my childhood. Then, and then I discovered the Rolling Stones.
And then it all changed. Do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
I do, and it's called Only You. It's actually pretty good. It's not that bad. And it was about being cheated on, and I had definitely not been cheated on at that point in my life. And so I'm pretty sure that I was writing about the storyline in Dynasty at the time that I was really into. That like Claudia was being cheated on by Miles, and it was just awful.
Oh, it's hysterical.
And that's what my first song was about.
Hey, Katie, curious just because it's in your biography that you were actually your birth mother put you up for adoption at 18 days old. And so how were you aware that you were adopted as you were growing up, and are you comfortable talking about that?
Absolutely comfortable talking about it. I think it's, the one thing I've noticed through this lockdown is the more we share about each other, the more we give others permission to be themselves. And just, I think sharing our stories is such a powerful thing to do. And I was put up for adoption, and I actually had an amazing experience a couple of years ago where I found out I had 2 sisters I didn't know I had.
Oh, my goodness.
And they were growing up pretty close by to me. And, it was really an amazing thing. So I grew up in Scotland with my adopted family, but actually my birth mother was half Chinese, but also was in Scotland at the time, and I've met her too. But I think it's a very interesting foundation to have growing up. And yes, I did always know. My parents were told that they should always. An easier way of dealing with it was to tell the kids before they even understood, so that it wasn't a kind of a big deal,
Hey, back to your sisters, your 2 sisters. Did you end up hooking up with them too?
Yes. So it was incredible. I had actually looked for my birth father. He was Irish, and I couldn't find him. And in the end, a TV show in the UK called Long Lost Family got in touch saying, we've seen that you were trying to find any details about him, and would you like to be part of the show? And I said, you know what? This is my last chance. If I'm gonna find out about him, they've got access to all these records. They've got an amazing team at the show, and so they went searching for me. And I was playing. I don't know if you guys are aware of Robert Burns Night. Burns Night is a Scottish it's like a Scottish celebration of Robert Burns, the poet, and we all get together and eat haggis and drink whiskey. And I was playing, it's great. I was playing this show, and it turned out the TV program found these girls. My father had sadly passed away, but they're like within 3 years of age of me. We're all very similar ages. And it turned out they had tickets to the show that I was playing already, not knowing that I was their sister.
What? I just got the chills.
Oh my God.
Oh.
And so the program said, look, it's okay if you don't feel, if it feels too much, but this is an opportunity to meet them. And so I met them that day, and we look so alike.
I was going to ask you if you saw yourself in their eyes. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I see myself in their face. We just couldn't stop staring at each other. And we're so similar. We're just like joy seekers, and it was really an amazing experience, especially, as an adult to meet people that you're actually related to. It was, and I've got two brothers, so to have sisters was just amazing.
What I love your story. Hey, Katie, we've been asking musicians over the last several months in our Music That Matters Now segment about how the pandemic has been affecting them creatively. I think that when it began, no one knew. Most of us didn't think it was going to be lasting this long. And you were touring, that came to an end. So what has it been like for you now that it's August? I mean, what's it done for your creative process?
Well, I've definitely found it challenging I'm writing a new record at the moment, and I'm at the point where I need to write lyrics, and that has been really challenging. Inspiration is another word for breathing in. It's taking in, and there's been so little to take in. It's all been sort of, we've been kind of stuck in our little universes. But I have to say that I've been touring for 15 years, and something that I'll often say is, I wish I had more time at home. And so I've definitely been granted that. And I've actually relished every minute of it. I've found myself, and I think I've heard this from a lot of other people as well, that it's been such a time of reflection, and I've heard from a couple of people I haven't heard from for years saying, what happened to us, and we lost touch. And I think everybody's taking a minute to just look back at things. And I think that that's it's sometimes painful, but I think it's a really deep, meaningful process. So, but one thing that I have found is that when I'm on the road, and I had 200 shows this year.
Oh my goodness.
I was going to be on the road with Hall & Oates for 5 months across the States, and so it was so sad when that was cancelled. But I was really thinking about ways of keeping in touch with fans during this time, because, music is such a healing force and such a galvanizing force, especially in times of trouble like this. So I was thinking about what I could do, and I actually ended up starting an amazing old school fan club where people sign up. It's called Patreon, and I'm more in touch with my fans now than ever.
And how so? Through email, or what do you do? How do you keep in touch with them?
It's this site called Patreon that and this is a great tip for any musician out there who's wondering how on earth to keep themselves afloat. You decide what people pay per month, and you decide what you give them per month. So you could give them a live show, you could give them downloads. And what I do, I even have like a real mailbox, so my fans can write to me and I write back to them. Yeah, we did, yesterday we did a global collaging event. We all got together for 2 hours on my Patreon Instagram, and we made collages together. And it was amazing.
Sure. I was going to ask you, besides music, have you discovered any new talents that you didn't know you had, maybe during the pandemic?
Well, apparently I can look after a dog.
Oh, really?
So I'm one of the many people who's become a dog owner during this time. But I rescued an absolutely gorgeous little miniature pinscher, and her name is Minnie, and she is just an absolute joy. I mean, someone was joking with me that they think that COVID is actually a dog conspiracy. And the dogs have made it happen because everyone is at home giving them cuddles, and they're going for all the walks.
Is Minnie going to go on the road with you when you get back on the road?
Absolutely.
Yay.
Absolutely. I've discovered that basically if I put a comfortable blanket anywhere, she'll get in. So I've been training her with her travel bag, but she's small enough that she can come anywhere with me, which is just going to be it's just so lovely to have that companionship on the road.
We're talking with Katie Tunstall. She is going to be doing a virtual concert from our beautiful Lobero Theater coming up tomorrow and Saturday, and we're going to talk with her more about that. We talked about music being an inspiration, and in our Music That Matters Now series, we've been asking our musicians to, we'll close out with one of your songs, but right now we want to hear a song that you feel like would be inspirational during these times by any band or artist. And what's the one that you've selected, Katie?
So one album that really blew me away. I mean, I'm blown away by any artist that's able to bring out a new album during this time. It's a real achievement, I think. But I was never that up on Paramore. I didn't know them that well as a band, but I was always quite drawn to Hayley Williams as an artist. She just seemed like such an interesting figure. And she released her solo record, which is called Petals for Armor, and it's just a beautiful piece of work. It's an amazing record. And I don't know about everyone listening and about you guys, but I love opener tracks on records. It's like a big deal for me, right?
Yeah.
You know, Tangled Up in Blue, Blood on the Tracks, case closed. And so, but it's always a really big deal for me when I'm making a record. Like, what is your gateway into this experience for people to listen to this record? And the opener on Petals for Armor is a song called Simmer by Hayley Williams, and it's just amazing. The first word of the song is rage. And I'm like, I needed to get that out during this 6-month lockdown. And just, really being honest and being raw about things. And I think that song really, really helps explain that things are better out than in. It's not going to do you any good keeping things inside.
Here it is now. Hang on the line with us.